Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, we are still well within the developing narrow ranges here in many of these indexes, from the ES to the NQ to the YM, trading in very narrow ranges. Again, this one now an 8-day developing narrow range. This is something we mentioned earlier in the week and also last week, that when you have a 3-day narrow range, it can turn into a 4-day, which can turn into a 5, 6, 7, 8-day as we move along. And right now, that's the case here. Very narrow range that is developed. It is now an 8-day narrow range. We can bring this up to 8 days here and get a better reading on how many points we might see in terms of energy out of this range once we do see a significant expansion event. 385 points is the expected move once we do see a breakout from this range. Again, we don't have a whole lot of catalysts here to work with so far this week. Today, Wednesday, we do have crude oil inventories. Tomorrow, initial jobless claims. And then Friday, we have a slew of data including CPI and Michigan consumer sentiment. So again, we have a rather light week of economic data. Next week we do have our FOMC statement and rate decision. That'll give us another FOMC key level, very similar to what we got here in May. So May 4th we had that FOMC key level that came off. Price initially took it offered, got a lower low failure, snapped back to it, and we have been consolidating below it ever since. So we'll get another one of those next week. As of right now, we're still in the range. We had an update yesterday, a failure at the previous week's low and also the previous session's low, and a rally back up. That was exactly as we had anticipated. Today could be again a day where we flow back within the range to the downside, but mainly stay within the range. That's the idea right now. We're not likely going to leave this range until proven otherwise. Once we do, we'll likely be looking for a big time move here of about 300 plus points of range. If we take a look here at the NQ, very similar price action here. This one is more of a 7-day narrow range. You can also make it 8, including this one, but that Friday range was a little bit more expansive there. So right here, 7-day narrow range, very compressed here. 1,385 points of potential range could be seen ahead. This one bounced on a failure of the previous week's low and rallied very nicely back toward 12,750, and we're now sitting right at the center of the range. We're also sitting right at the previous month's close, that black dotted line. So again, mostly range bound action. We could continue to see mostly range bound action, and even if we do rally big today, it takes us right to the top of the range, and that's about it. If we drop hard, it takes us to the bottom of the range. So it would have to take a forceful day to see some sort of significant breakout from this range. And again, lack of economic data and lack of catalysts here could keep us in the range for the near term. So mostly range bound action. Look to fade the edges until proven otherwise. Crude oil right now is up about 1% right now. Again, this one has been bullish overall. Any pullback into the Pima trigger zone is still an opportunity to get a big time reversal back to the upside. We mentioned last week and also this week that if we could hold the 118s here, we may see a continuation toward about 125 to 126 by the end of the week. But this week's been rather narrow. So far this week we've seen mostly range bound action. We have seen price step on the 118s. Yesterday was a failed new low and a bounce. But we really haven't seen any kind of elongation of this range. Again, overall, any pullback here, even a 1 or 2 day pullback, could provide a great buying opportunity for a continuation higher, again, until proven otherwise. Looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's down 2.8% right now, still within the range. Again, after every big day up, we're seeing a follow-up day to the downside. We're still inside this very narrow range, which is concerning here. That price cannot get off the mat right now, and instead is building out just a significantly long form consolidation range at these lows. I already mentioned how many times that if we break 2800 or 28k rather, we could be looking at an 18k move. That could be a very easy move based on the amount of energy that's in this range. It wouldn't be surprising if we somehow see a big time rally that takes us back toward 38K and yearly value, but again, this market has to prove it and hasn't been able to get off the mat in a long while. Still range bound for Bitcoin. Looking at Ether futures, this one's down 3%, trading 1785s right now. Again, this one's doing just enough to stay above 1700. 1700 is a big time long-term support level. Again, mostly range bound at these lows. If this thing can get above 2200, it opens up a little bit of upside back toward 2600. But again, what's going to be the catalyst to get this off the mat? As of right now, a breakout in either direction could trigger a big time move, but a failure at 1700 likely triggers a massive decline back toward 1000 or that 902 half key range target that we have already identified. All right, mostly range bound here for these markets. We'll see how it plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.